And we are live. Welcome to the Political Orphans. I am Nico, your in-house conservative. And to my left, none other than Rob Ambrose, our token lefty. And as always, we look at what's trending in the news. But our goal is simple. We want to show you that it is possible for a lefty and a righty to get along. And if we don't, guess what we do? We have a fucking conversation like normal human beings. Because remember, common sense has no political affiliations. I don't think I've ever done an intro with a swear before. Damn.
No. That's new. I mean, good a time to start as any.
Whoops.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like this show isn't completely filled with curse words.
No. But
it is what it is.
I don't think in 4 years of podcasting I've ever done one single intro with a swear word in it. There we go. I broke the curse.
First time for everything.
Yeah, man.
What's going on today? Not too much. How's the night last night?
I don't know, bro. I had a great talk with Rachel Parker. She's an independent Canadian journalist that used.
Yeah, actually, I saw that. I saw that. It came across my feed. How'd that go?
She's good, man. She's very, very, very good. Very good at what she does. She
looks very polished.
Yeah. Absolutely. She used to work for True North.
Mm-hmm.
And her show got canceled, so she started her own thing, and here she is. She barely, I think the first video she posted on YouTube as an independent has like 110,000 views right now.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Oh yeah. She's she's very polished. You can tell that she's worked for corporate media. Like, she doesn't swear. She's very serious. She is the complete opposite of me.
She wouldn't fit in on this show.
Would she? I don't know. Maybe, probably.
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously, it's maybe that'll balance us out. Our cursing nonstop.
What's going on,
morning,
Prairie?
Good morning, Prairie.
What's going on? Hey, Prairie. Let me ask you this. I spent hours this morning on working on trying for us to look professional instead of having our thingies at the bottom that weren't looking too good. So let me ask you, do you like it? Do you like this at the bottom?
Do you notice? Yeah, the whole thing, the whole layout.
Yeah, because I like it. I like it. I like the fact that the title is right there. It tells us when we're on. If you want to follow us, it's all at the bottom. And
I like the fact that you did all the work.
Yeah, no shit.
That's my favorite part.
I probably spent like literally 3 or 4 hours this
Honestly,
morning.
I would have no clue how to do that. That's definitely your wheelhouse for sure.
Yeah, I'm anal, right? I was calculating to the millimeter. Like, I was downloading it, making sure it fits. So yeah, it's always painful when you're trying to be accurate. Looks great.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. 2 thumbs up, says Prairie.
Even if it's not true, I appreciate.
Yeah, we love the lies. Lie to us here.
Yep, I appreciate the lie.
Guys, if you guys are watching live, be sure to comment like Prairie always does. You know, we love our regulars. This show is built on audience engagement. So by all means, whether you agree with us, disagree with us, shoot your shot. We'll add it. We'll put it on the screen. We'll comment. So yeah, and don't forget to smash that like and share button, please, if you like what we're doing.
Absolutely. Especially if you're on X. On X, it allows you to reshare the stream live so that your followers, your friends,
would be like a quote tweet, so you can say something, be like, wow, these guys would be like, well, Nico, the Nico guy kind of sucks, but listen to the Rob guy, he knows what he's talking about. So something like that. I don't know, do whatever. I don't think that's persuade you. I'm
not sure that type of comment's ever going to happen. I think it's going to be around.
It'll be from me, my burner account.
I just need to bring Jason on to have a little ego boost. If I feel
way, I just if your balls are a little cold and you just need them warmed up.
Yeah, if I have one of those days.
Yeah, he's great for the ego. Now I love that guy.
Yeah, he's very, very cool. Big fan of his.
Yeah,
it's interesting because he's probably not gonna like the content
we start with.
Yeah, what we're gonna show. Yeah, because we're gonna talk about a few things today. So what's on the menu? We're gonna be talking about. Obviously, we need to talk about Mark Carney becoming the Prime Minister of Canada. And this is going to be done tomorrow. Like, this is fast. We're going to talk about Mahmoud Khalil. You found some updates that we're going to talk about today. That's for Jason, obviously, because now he can't defend himself.
Exactly. We waited till he left before we really went hard at him. Can't defend himself.
We're going to be talking about a video I found a couple of days ago from the guys at Blender News. Love those guys. They're very clean, like very, very clean product. I've interviewed one of them, great guys, but they posted about something I never heard of, about the new lawsuit that Ontario is starting against the Freedom Trucker. Okay. So the convoy from almost 3 years ago, now there's a lawsuit with a bunch of people in it. Like, I won't even tell you how much money they're looking for, but they're literally going to bankrupt people left, right, and center. It's absolutely insane. So those are the three things I have on the menu today. Obviously, we're probably going to go down a rabbit hole like we do absolutely every day. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Mark Carney? You want to start with Mahmoud?
Let's start with Mahmoud. Shouldn't take more than a few minutes. So if you guys were watching yesterday, and Jason, sorry to do this to you while you're gone and can't defend yourself, but one of your main arguments yesterday was that Mahmoud wasn't a part of the sort of the group that we're talking about, that's talking about eradicating Western civilization. So we did some research, and we did find some sources for these quotes. And for a second here, I'm just going to make the case that he is a part of this group, and he does have culpability, and then Nico's going to add his 2 cents, and then we'll move on to Carney. So let me see here if I just share my screen. So the big thing is that we're talking about is a group called CUAD. This is Columbia University Apartheid and Divest. So first of all, we'll just talk about that group and what they're all about.
Scroll in on your screen. Just hold your control on your laptop and roll up so that your screen pops. You should be able to zoom in. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, perfect.
All right. You're welcome.
No, thank you. Yes, thank you. All right. So first of all, if we see here, this is from the Instagram account of Columbia University Apartheid Divest. So we are Westerners. They're not. Fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. We stand in full solidarity with every movement for liberation of the global South, blah, blah, blah. You've heard all this before. We seek community and instruction from militants in the global South. So if you don't think this is incitement, or if these are the kind of people that you want coming to this country to support this stuff, I mean, that's your call. But I think a lot of people would not agree that this is... Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. So I'm just talking about the group here. I'm not talking about Mahmoud's affiliation with this group. So I think we can agree that this group is not necessarily one that we want to particularly, I guess, associate with. So here's another bit of information about this group and what they stand for. Dr. Andrew Bostom, this is from the Free Beacon, from the Columbia campus. We support liberation by any means necessary, including armed resistance. One day earlier, on the attack of Hamas, October 7th attack on Israel, CUAD lauded the Al-Aqsa flood, which is Hamas's name for the terror spree. So what we're doing here is we're drawing a direct line between CUAD and Hamas, right? As we all know, green card holders are responsible for, they have certain limitations. And one of them that's very, very clearly laid out is if you provide even just any kind of support, even if it's just verbally, for terrorist organizations, you can get the fuck out. So now that we're established this group is pretty clearly pro-Hamas, now let's look at Mahmoud Khalil. So here's a New York Magazine article, which is obviously a very left-leaning, talking about Khalil. Khalil graduated from Columbia University. He was a lead negotiator for Columbia University Apartheid Divest. That's CUAD. Over here, this is from, I believe several months ago. Columbia University's radical anti-Israel group seeks total eradication of Western civilization. So yeah, that's the part that we had discussed before.
That's the one I'm trying to find. I'm looking for it right now. Where
The
it
New York
was
Post one?
you know the one that it's the same that
Oh, the total eradication?
Scott Jennings showed. It's the
So that
same that
group
you had at the
deleted it.
beginning.
They deleted it from their Instagram account.
Okay.
However, there's many sort of contemporary accounts. For example, this one I just showed, New York Post. This is from an article, I believe, maybe I don't see a date here, but it's about a year ago, and they are discussing this. So they are literally quoting "We Are Westerners Fight." So like they wouldn't be quoting that if they didn't have something to quote from. Now, if you believe that they posted this a year ago in in preparation for the psyop that makes the claim that piece that they posted, like there is some people saying that they never posted this piece because they've deleted it, but there's just so much information, including contemporaneous reporting, like from the New York Post, that this is their beliefs. Another article from the city, Mahmoud Khalil, CUAD's other student negotiator. So he's a negotiator. He's a spokesman for the group. Another thing that's very interesting, and you can go look at CUAD's Twitter account because it's still up. It's regularly posting, except it stopped about 5 days ago. So it stopped posting the day before this guy was arrested. So what that tells you is not only he's a member, he is controlling the group's Twitter account. Because for sure if there was anyone else who had access to it, they would be that account would be blasting right now, complaining about the injustice being done to him.
Or hold on, let me cut you off there. Or maybe the lawyers got involved and they're like, stop fucking posting. Because often people will do that. Like you see celebrities do that all the time when they say something really fucking stupid, and then their PR firm's like,
yeah, cut that shit up. Yeah, that's fair.
But continue, because I'm going through their Instagram right now. Like I'm just rolling through their Instagram account. Still 50,000 followers for an Instagram account that's specific to Columbia University. That's pretty fucking impressive.
Well, and that shows the sort of reach that this account. It wasn't just Columbia University. That has major influence outside beyond Columbia University, and so it's pretty clear that they're supporting of Hamas, who is a terrorist organization. And again, if this isn't really a free speech case, no one has a right to a green card. No one has a right. No non-citizen has a right to be welcomed into the country. If he's a citizen posting this, I don't believe there's anything that can be done legally. But he is not. He is a non-citizen. He is a Syrian who has Algerian citizenship. He claims to be Palestinian, but he was born in Syria. He has Algerian citizenship, and he's been in the country for only 2 to 3 years. And it appears that as soon as he landed, he began immediately engaging in this anti-Western civilization propaganda, pro-Hamas. And so, not saying he wasn't a legit student, I'm sure that he was, but he clearly had a plan to do stuff as soon as he got on ground, and he then executed that plan. So, if you want to make this about free speech, by all means, he's clearly getting due process because it is going through the courts right now. He'll get his day in court, and I think everyone, me and you included, Nico, agree with that. We're glad that he will get that. I don't think none of us are saying kick him out right this second. We're saying give the guy his day in court. But, it doesn't, it really just comes down to, is this the kind of person you want in your country? To me, it's not, it's quite clear that he's met, like his actions have met all the standards required to revoke his green card. And then at this point, it's just a matter of going through the process. And I hope that they end up doing it. Did you have do you have that video queued up that you wanted to play?
Yeah, the one you sent me earlier. Yeah, I'm literally just running through their Instagram account right now, and it's very interesting how they've removed all the violence. Because yesterday I made a post about this, and it was hard for me to find videos from back, because that was in 2023, right? So it was hard for me to find videos from just a year and a half ago when they actually, it's the Hamilton Hall on Columbia University grounds where the Free Palestine guys and women, like obviously the protesters, went in, destroyed the door. You clearly see them smash through the door, buzz the door open, and just go in. It was hard for me to find it. I'm telling you, it's getting cleaned off the internet right now.
Oh yeah,
they're
no doubt.
removing that shit, and it's funny because even the headline was something bullshit like nothing about criminal acts. It was just about get a hold. No, it was like Free Palestine protesters enter Hamilton Hall. Oh, fuck off. You know that if as a Christian I would have done, a group of me and my friends would have done that, it would be fucking Christian white supremacists.
Oh yeah, what's like
completely destroy Hamilton Hall. Like it would have been,
there'd be none of the grace given to these people.
Occupy. It's right here. I have it right here. None of the violence is shown, but Columbia students occupy Hamilton Hall. That is the word that we're using.
What you're talking about, I believe the clip that we're going to play here in a second is a video of that occupation of Hamilton Hall.
Because if you don't have it, if it's not part of it, I'll find what I posted yesterday because I made a reel about it.
Okay.
Yesterday.
I'm pretty sure it is. But so just in case you're sort of watching and following, so we pretty clearly connected Mahmoud Khalil to this group CUAD. It's pretty clear that they are engaged in terrorist supporting activities. And then we're going to look at, remember you told Jason yesterday, there was two things really. There's one is that it's the being a part of CUAD. And you said, for the sake of argument, let's throw that away.
I like to play devil's advocate. This is always what I do, right?
For the sake of argument, let's throw that away. The other thing is he a member of a group that just caused damaged property on Columbia University? And we will, we're going to see here in a second exactly what this group's all about. You can make up your own mind if you think that this is the kind of peaceful protesting that should be allowed. That is what they mean when they talk about, peaceful protest, because I don't believe that it is.
So Prairie is basically saying that the student visa was to get his foot into the USA and then do this. But that's the thing. Everything that I've heard up to now, he had a green card. So I don't know if it went from, oh, there you go. Hold on. I have it right here. Revoked, although he does not have a student visa. I keep on hearing about this, like even CNN. I'm just reading off of an article right now that's just saying the DHS agent said the State Department revoked Khalil's student's visa. Yet it was not a student visa. He was on a green card. I'm just trying to see, because everywhere they make sure to say that he's a student. Well,
he graduated last year, I believe.
But that's the thing. The question that I have is, did Mahmoud Khalil show up in the US on a student visa?
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know if there's the answer. He's only been here a couple years. I don't know if his green card, a student visa, comes with a green card, or I don't know.
No. Two different things.
Separate things.
Oh, yeah. Two completely separate things. It's just what I'm finding, because I was doing a lot of research on this yesterday, because I posted on my platforms about this.
Yep.
And what is interesting is it is completely being erased. Like all the good stuff is completely being removed. It's so over. So it's either two things. Either it's getting removed, or it's becoming saturated with so much information that on Google, you can't find all article unless you do a lot of research. Everything you find is from right now.
Yep.
Even if I put terms from 2024, because the way the Google index works, it doesn't, it fills the first pages extremely, extremely fast. Because right now, this is what I really want to know. And I'm asking the people that are out there, do you guys know if Mahmoud Khalil was on a student visa? Because everything that I find is all green card. But maybe that's why the ICE agent made a mistake. Like maybe he entered the country on, and I'm not saying he did, I'm just saying maybe he did enter the country on a student visa and then applied for a green card. because I find this very weird that they would have said that, because everywhere that I see, he's a permanent resident, like he has a green card.
Oh yeah. I think that's a given. Now, if you're on a green card, do you even need a student visa, or can you just go to school if you're here? I'm pretty sure.
No. If you have a green card, you have, I think there's certain rights that you don't have, as in like the free speech we were talking about the other day.
Yeah.
Like there's kind of limitations. You're not a citizen, obviously.
And you
I
probably
don't
can't
know
vote.
that he can't vote, and I do. Well, actually, in the US, anybody can vote.
Yeah.
You can even claim that you're still alive and collect social security when you're 150 years old.
Anything's possible in a country where you can be 300 years old and like social security.
I don't think I'll have to look at it, but if I'm not mistaken, last time I checked, because this is something I'm interested in, I can't carry, like I can't carry like an American would. Like there's limitations to free speech. There's limitation. You still have the opportunity to be deported, right? This is always the big difference between a green card and a citizen. You can't vote. There's limitation to your free speech, as in the limitation to your free speech is not the government's not going to prevent you. It's mostly they're going to kick you. They're going to kick you out if they're not happy with what you're doing. And I believe that's what should happen.
Joe wants to chime in here, I'm sure. So Joe, what do you got, brother? Let's watch this video, and then we'll connect with
100%. But hey, Joe, maybe you seem like a really researched individual. I haven't looked into this guy. Like last year when he was doing the protests, I didn't remember him. I didn't look into him. But everything that I can find is about a green card. I cannot find if he arrived there on a student visa. I'm just curious. At the end of the day, it doesn't really change anything, but I'm just curious. Maybe Joe Stradamus actually knows. So if you do, let us know. On that note, though, I will play the video that you sent.
So this is from the Occupy.
This is so exciting. I've never watched it.
Oh, nice.
I'm trusting Rob, which...
Well, the reason I
apologize right now. I apologize right now if the video sucks. Guess
under
what?
the bus you go.
It's this guy right there.
But the reason I sent it to you is because and Nico, I'm sure, is going to make his connection to everything here with J6. But keep that in mind, like what J6 looked like versus what you're about to see here, and the responses to both.
A judge decided the pro-Palestinian protester and former Columbia graduate student.
No, that's not it. I believe it starts.
No, that's the other one I wanted to play after this one.
Yep.
Because it talks about the lawyer, where they're at with their lawyer. So let me find this. Ooh.
Imagine you're a Jewish student here.
They didn't show the windows breaking and all that stuff, right? Hold on.
No, but they did that just.
Let me just pause this for a second, because the video I was showing in one of my reels yesterday, you see them break in. So clearly here we're seeing from the other side of the barricade where they're blocking people from coming in, basically. That's basically what we're seeing right now. But I also have a video. I might look for it afterwards to see if I can find it, of CBS, if I remember correctly. And they were showing the guys with, I think it was a hammer. They're smashing through the exact doors that are there, but from the other side, because that's the front door of Hamilton Hall. So let's continue this video. But this is this? I forgot to ask the people out there the question of the day. Do you think that Mahmoud Khalil should be deported? That's the question I have for you guys. But I'm going to ask you another question. Do you guys think that this is peaceful? Is that a peaceful protest to you?
Yeah, and also
as I'm looking at this, I'm like,
and imagine you're a Jewish student, right?
That's exactly what I was going to say. As a Jewish person, if that was going on the campus where I'm studying, because there's a lot of videos out there where students were being called names, were being harassed for being Jewish. They were prevented. Do you remember they blocked certain area where people couldn't go in anymore? This is still on their Instagram page. If you want to go check it out, they were proud of this. They were actually explaining to other people how to barricade and how to prevent people from passing. This is the thing, right? And this is the point I was trying to make with Jason yesterday. Is this peaceful? Because that doesn't look peaceful to me. And not only that, but what happened to January 6th? Why are those guys in prison? And there's one of them that's right where I'm from right now. He's from Alabama. I know this guy here that it's his best friend. He was in prison ever since just after January 6th. And he's one of the people that got released because Donald Trump pardoned him. But he's been in prison this whole fucking time. And look at this. This is the hypocrisy that really bothers me. How is this non-violent? How is this okay? They literally broke and entered. That's breaking and entering. That's a crime for them to get into that building.
People were even injured. People were injured in this. And again, I don't know, like if you wanted to keep playing, we don't need to necessarily watch the whole thing, but if just maybe skip forward a couple times, because it's really just about the chaos of the moment.
I'll let it play. I'll let it play because I'm going to research something during that time.
Okay. They appear to be chaining the doors shut.
Of course they are.
Yeah, barricading the doors. And you got to understand, this requires organization, right? This is not spontaneous. They didn't just show up at the same time. This was organized. No. And it's organized by the leaders of that group.
There was, I created a lot of content about this back like a year and a half ago-ish when this happened. And, you know, man, they had professional organizers that showed up to those universities to train the organizers into how to do what they're doing right now, how to take control of buildings, how to create chaos, how to have your demands met. So this is not 20-year-olds that are doing this.
No,
they were taught to do this. Somebody trained them. And you know, one of the things I always point out, this is one of the things I always point out when I see protests. Why are they hiding their faces? Why are they hiding their faces? Why do they have masks? They have hoodies. A lot of them are wearing the Muslim kind of
the kafaya, I believe. Kafia.
Thank you. Yeah. So a lot of them, if not most of them, have something in their face hiding their identity. Why? If you're peaceful and you really believe. Exactly. Why are you hiding your face? But clearly, like, look at this video. Like, I'll just lower the volume a bit so that we can continue.
Yeah.
Like, this is the video. There's no volume right now, but look at this. Like, does that look peaceful to you?
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, here they're barricading. At the end of the day, like, listen, there's definitely a lot of legal sort of debate that's going to happen, and you know that's going to happen in the proper forms in the courts, and that we're obviously going to follow that. But just remove yourself from that a little bit. Just look at this. Fundamentally, is this the kind of thing that you want foreigners coming to the country to stir up in your country? It's not. You can debate all you want about their free speech. This isn't really about free speech. It's about the obligations of green card holders or obligation of guests in the country to not contribute to social division and social unrest. It's really that simple. It's quite clear that they have all the justification in the world to me to remove the green card. It's funny. I see like the way it's framed, the New York Times. It's like Donald Trump's getting rid of a legal resident. Well, not really. He was a legal resident until his green card was revoked, and that was done legally. And as soon as his green card is revoked, he is no longer a legal resident. It's pretty simple.
And this is always what they're going to say, right? They're always going to play it from an angle that the little minority is the victim.
Of course.
Yet, hold on here. Hold the fuck on for a second here. We're talking about a guy that was one of the faces of this protest.
A spokesman. A spokesman, you know?
100%. Yeah. He was a spokesman, and he's on a green card. The dude's not a citizen. This is the thing that I think we're forgetting. If you're an American,
there's nothing you can do. There's
you can't deport him. You can't arrest him. Clearly, the guys from January 6th, a bunch of them, I think it was 100, 150 of them got arrested or something along those lines. And, you know, that's the thing. And this was my point yesterday, is why is it okay for somebody with a green card to show up here and cause trouble? Why do we accept this type of behavior? This is my point. You know what, bro? This is where you're from. Although from what you were saying earlier, he's not from there at all. But let's say that you're from there. If you really want to help your country, man, why the fuck are you not fighting over there? Why are you not taking care of shit over there? Why are you here in the security that the US allows you and shit on the people that are here? This is what bothers me. It's like you're a fucking, you are a fuck, what's the term I'm looking for? You're
like agitator?
You're invited. Like you're
you're a guest. You're a guest.
Thank you. You're just wow, that was a 5 so hard. You're a guest. You're a guest. If you come to my house, I invite you. I give you all the respect that you deserve, and you start smashing my shit.
You're probably gonna kick him out.
Guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna get a foot up the ass, and you're gonna learn how to fly. No, but seriously, like this is the part that, can we stop trying to make those people to be victims?
Yes,
they're not victims. If that dude wanted to come here and just be a student, have a better life, no problem. But the day you start representing a protest, being the face of one of the protests that actually broke shit up, brother, and by association, if Donald Trump was responsible for January 6th enough to get impeached by the Democrats,
you can't have it both ways.
That means this guy, bye-bye. There's no.
Sorry, finish.
No, go ahead. I found the video.
Yeah, okay. I was just gonna say, like, and you know, me and you are both big free speech advocates, but it's just not a free speech case. And the thing is, it's not even about his positions. If he had just come here, done his school, and, you know, voice support, you can talk about the Palestinians, you can support the Palestinians without talking about the eradication of Western civilization. Guess what? We live in Western civilization. Most of us don't want to see it eradicated. We live here. If you're going to come into our home and demand that we be eradicated, we're going to tell you to get the fuck out. And that's nothing to do that. Like, that's just common fucking basic, like, common sense. The fact that there are people that would actually argue that this guy should be allowed to stay because of some stupid legal loophole is nonsense. That's the problem. That's how we got into this case. Like, there's nothing wrong with advocating for the Palestinian cause. There's nothing wrong with saying I think Israel is a whatever state.
It's wrong.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Netanyahu is a terrorist, and he shouldn't be doing
nothing wrong with that
doing.
whatsoever.
Okay.
When you start talking about October 7th being a great victory, it's a terrorist attack by a terrorist organization. When you start talking about the eradication of Western civilization, the people that live here in Western civilization, we might have something to say about it.
And the post that you saw, if it is indeed true, it is clear as day. Like clear as day. There's no fucking hesitation in that message. You get it clear.
Yep.
Well, so if he's indeed part of it, if he was because he was clearly one of the spokesmen for the Free Palestine protests that were going on at Columbia University. I don't think anybody can argue this because there's shit ton of videos showing him speaking for, air quote, the cause.
And all the articles that I showed at the beginning where these are left-leaning papers like New York Magazine saying it's not meant to be a gotcha. It's talking about something completely different. It's just introducing this guy and then saying CUAD's student negotiator. Like there's no doubt that he's a senior member of CUAD. The only question is, do you believe that CUAD's activities are appropriate to engage in if you're here as a guest?
By the way, Prairie is saying, obviously she's answering the question. Yes, he should be deported. Same question to you guys out there. Do you think that Mahmoud Khalil should be deported? Did he overstep his green card by being the face of one of the protests, being the face of the protest at Columbia University that caused damage, that caused people to get injured, that they occupy? And Prairie said that earlier. Occupy is a war term. Yeah. And she's right. So technically you can say occupy all you want. That is, you know what? The Nazis did occupy a lot of countries in Europe. I'm just putting out there. They occupied France. They occupied Poland. That was the term they used. So technically she's absolutely bang on.
Yeah, and that's not a war term. They're using military language very, very intentionally.
Like, look at this video. It's just the beginning of the video, because obviously they won't show everything because it's still media and they have to control the message. But here is the video I was talking about. It's not quite this one, but it's the same part.
Has told anyone who does not need to be on campus today to stay away from the school. Pro-Palestinian protesters.
You literally see them. And brother.
Oh yeah. That's right.
No, but hold on. Look at the camera that woman is holding.
Protesters broke into.
If there's one thing I know, is cameras.
Okay.
This, bro, you have 10 grand in your hand, maybe more. Like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
Like, this is
that's professional.
Oh, yeah. Those are the type of camera I get a half hardy just looking at. Like, this is the type of cameras I want to have. But this is my point, right? You clearly see at the beginning, bang, the guy they have a hammer.
Columbia University has
told boom
anyone who does
right
not
there,
need
boom,
to
boom,
breaking
up. That is breaking
with a $10,000 camera. That's something definitely.
But just look at this. Like, look at how they're. Would you imagine, as a Jewish guy, even me as a Christian guy, I wouldn't have went in that building. As much as I know how to fight, I can't fight that many people. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, there's nothing much I can do about that, right? But tell me that this looked peaceful to you.
So yeah, and I want to share something here, because I just found out I just had a question answered when I was showing this earlier. If you remember, I showed this here. It's New York Post says, and they have this at the very front line. We are Westerners fighting for total eradication. And that's the post that they are now, that's deleted. And they're saying it's fake. It never happened. Now, there isn't a date on this. So I looked over here and I...
Hold on. Let's find it. Just leave it there. I'll find it.
Yeah. So it's out there because I just found it.
Oh, you did?
But yeah, it does seem to be... all right. Can you see... Where are we? Yeah, I'll show you here now. So I Googled it and I wanted to find the actual article to see when it was. Because if it was just a couple days ago, then it doesn't really mean anything. But here it is. If you see,
that's last year,
August 17th, 2004. And if I can scroll down, here it is. You can see it's anti-radicals at Columbia are pushing for the total eradication of Western civilization. So this is a contemporaneous article. This isn't, they're not making this up out of thin air. And they even say here when it was posted. We are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization, the group wrote in August 7th post. So
a year ago.
And I also find it interesting. Yeah. So
not even a year ago.
New York Post was writing about it at the time that they made the post. So it's definitely real. They didn't just make that up out of thin air with no reference point or whatever. So one thing I also find interesting is, why do they lie? They clearly are not Westerners, right? At least the leaders that we know of, which is just so far, Mahmoud Khalil is not a Westerner. Why would they need to say that? I'm sure there are Westerners that are involved in the organization, but
of course, I guarantee you there's a bunch of white guys in there and white women in there. No question.
For sure. But it makes you wonder why would they even feel it was necessary to do that or say that? if not to give sort of legitimacy and to perhaps maybe cover up the fact that these are foreign agents or foreign people who are involved in this.
Well, that's pretty simple. At the end of the day, they know that there's not a lot of them here.
Yeah.
So who are they going to find? You think that the 50,000 people that are following on Instagram are a bunch of Muslims from the Middle East?
No doubt.
No, they're definitely white people from New York.
Self-hating,
white. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be very easy for them to make a case for this. It's going to be extremely easy to show that. Just the post you showed there.
Yeah,
if he's part of an organization that posted in August last year that they want to eradicate Westerners, you're fucked. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. But
it's not even like, they didn't charge a guy. The language being used is just ridiculous, right? They're saying he was disappeared in the middle of the night. Well, no, the police went there, they arrested him. And if he was, they're like, that's what fascists do. No, if it was a fascist government, you just would never hear from him again. And he would be somewhere.
So what? So what? No, but at the end of the day, so what? Even if they showed up in the middle of the night, busted his door open, took that motherfucker by the back of the head and the ass and threw him into the back of a truck and you're out. So what?
Yeah,
bro, you're not supposed to be doing what you're doing there. So what? Don't fucking be a victim. I'm tired of this shit. Like, oh, we weren't nice enough with the criminal. Hey, fuck you. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not saying they should beat them up. That's not what I'm saying. But don't start acting like that guy's a victim. He ain't a fucking victim.
No.
This is the problem, and this is what I was trying to say to Jason yesterday. That guy's not a victim. Like, at the end of the day, he knew exactly. He's not an idiot. That dude, if he was able to become the face of that movement, he knew exactly what he was doing.
Well, he graduated from Columbia University.
Right? Oh, yeah, exactly. So we assume that he's at least good at regurgitating information. Like, he's good at learning information and regurgitating it. But I don't think he's an idiot. I never underestimate people. So, if we assume that he's not an idiot, brother, you're not in a good spot right now. And this is what I found, an article on NBC. Of course, it's on NBC News, but it was basically saying that wife of Mahmoud Khalil, Palestinian activist facing deportation, says she was naive not to expect his arrest. I didn't take him serious. Hold on. I didn't take him seriously. Clearly, I was naive. Noor Habdallah, a U.S. citizen who is pregnant with the couple's first child. Boo fucking who? That's another thing. I absolutely hate that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but he's pregnant. His wife is pregnant with.
Irrelevant,
bro. Doesn't matter. I don't get to go destroy other people's property, and then you know what? My wife is pregnant right now. Does that mean I can do whatever the fuck I want? Because she literally is pregnant. I'd love that pass. If you're like, does that mean
Is that a pass? Do I get a pass?
No, but I'm the perfect example. I spent a lot of time in the US over the past few years as a visitor on a visitor visa. I never broke the law. I respect the law here. I will never do something that will cause problems in the US because I have respect for the country that is allowing me to be here as a foreigner. Plain and simple. Technically, my wife and I could have stayed here and have a baby born here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could be that type of asshole that we could illegally stay here and have her give birth here. But we're not that type of people. We're going to go back to Canada. As much as we would love to stay here in the US, it's not something that we would do. We would not do something, even though that it's technically legal. I think it still is right now. It's immoral. It is not moral to do so. If they tell us we need to leave by a certain date, we're allowed to be here from this date to this date. Don't fucking break the law. Guess what we're going to do? Because we have respect for the United States that are allowing us to be here as guests. That guy should have thought about his action before. He is not an idiot. He knew exactly what the fuck he was doing, but I guarantee you he's just like the Canadians that we have. All the students that go to Montreal. I was looking at those videos this morning. Did you see the statue? Oh, yeah. McGill, Concordia, all those schools that are downtown Montreal. They destroyed so many statues. Like, I was just watching a video about that this morning where I think it was McDonald. Yep. They're literally pulling on his head. Yeah, Sir John McDonald. pulling on his head. The statue collapses, snaps in half. When it hits the ground, people are woo.
Yeah, I think people are just
if any of those people are citizen, send them to prison, because that is destruction of private property or public property.
It just that's all of our history, right? That isn't just yours. You don't get to you can protest all you want. You can tell us why you don't like the guy. You don't get to destroy shit that the rest of us might appreciate or might cherish.
No,
right?
It doesn't belong to you. I don't care how you feel about it. It does not belong to you. You do not have the right to destroy public or private property. That does not belong to you. As a Canadian, they should all be in fucking prison. If you're on a student visa or in a green card, bye-bye. Go back to where the fuck you came from.
You know, they'd never be able to do it in their home country. Try doing that shit where you're from. It ain't gonna fly. Why would we put up with it?
And this is what I think is going on right here. This is exactly what's going on with comments like his wife made. I was naive. I didn't take him seriously. Clearly, I was naive. Irrelevant. You know what? But no, it's because there's never been any consequences for their actions. And that's another point I was trying to make yesterday.
Well, I know. Said. I never thought it would happen.
Of course, because you never considered the fact that you are breaking the law and there will be consequences. We've been so soft on crime in North America that we just allow pretty much anybody to do whatever they want because they can play the race card. And we're just like,
identity politics, man. Identity politics.
And yesterday I went on a fucking rant about this. I'm not going to do it again because, man, I was borderline yesterday. But all to say that this is what bothers me. It's the disrespect that those guests have doing shit, as you just said, that they would never fucking dare to do in their own country.
Yeah.
So why are we allowing this shit? Why do we
we're so open-minded, our fucking brains fell out.
No, we're pussies. We're not open-minded. We're a bunch of pussies that are scared. Just forget foreigners. Just look at the way we treat our criminals.
Yeah.
Just look at so in Canada, as a legal gun owner, I have less rights than a convicted pedophile out of prison. The RCMP can come to my house whenever they want within 24 to 48 hours notice without a warrant. They can just simply show up and look at the way I'm storing my firearms. Yet, if you have a convicted pedophile that's been in prison, that is now out and about, you need to have a warrant for his arrest or to go into his house. I have less rights than a fucking convicted pedophile in Canada. Tell me that's right. Tell me
it's crazy. It's crazy. But it's like, you know, there's a guy I follow on Twitter I really like. His name's Gad Sad. He's pretty much speaking about exactly what we're talking about. He has a book called Suicidal Empathy, and he talks about that, and it's just such a perfect word. You know, we're so empathetic that we let people come in, so tolerant, quote unquote tolerant, that we let people come in who will destroy us, who are trying to destroy us. That's not tolerance. That's, like you said, we're being pussies. It's okay. There's nothing wrong whatsoever with saying that's not acceptable, that's not appropriate. You can get the fuck out with that. And hopefully, you know, I think we talked about yesterday with Jason, like that clearly the government's trying to make an example of Khalil. And I think Jason's point was he didn't agree that Khalil was the right person to make example of. But even he, I think, agreed that perhaps someone does need to be made example of. But to me, it sounds like Khalil is a perfect. You couldn't come up with a better guy to make an example.
Even if you tried, I don't think you could. No. Outside of catching him killing someone, I don't think. Like outside of him really being caught doing something even worse, I don't think. But it's the perfect example because technically he didn't kill anybody. He didn't commit, you know, the escalation
an obvious
of crimes, right?
Yeah,
he did something that. Like I was saying yesterday, it's the hypocrisy. I before we finish this, I found a video. I haven't had time to listen to all of it, but it's an explanation from the lawyer. I'm very curious to hear what the lawyer has to say. So Mahmoud Khalil's lawyer is obviously trying to get him out of Louisiana because right now they took him from New York down to Louisiana goddamn, that's a difference. That is not the same type of environment, but I'm curious to see what he has to say.
Will remain in ICE custody.
That's right. And demonstrators.
Hold on. There you go.
A judge decided the pro-Palestinian protester and former Columbia graduate student will remain in ICE custody.
That's right. And demonstrators, meanwhile, are demanding his release. Let's get right to Good Day's Briella Tomasetti. She is live outside Columbia University, where protests this morning are expected. Good morning, Briella.
Tashani and Tina, good morning to you. Mahmoud Khalil will remain in Louisiana, at least for now, but his lawyers say they have struggled to get in touch with him. Yesterday, Judge Jesse Furman ordered that they are given phone access at least twice this week. The Department of Justice, in the meantime, wants this case moved either to New Jersey, where Khalil was initially held, or to Louisiana, even though he was arrested here in New York City. The court hearing drew hundreds of demonstrators to the federal courthouse.
Before we go forward, they're trying to get him back to New Jersey, or he's going to stay in Louisiana. That dude should stay in Louisiana. None of that fucking woke Democrat bullshit that New York is filled with. Put him in a fucking place where woke people are not running the state government for him.
I think that's why they did that.
Dude, if I can think about that, imagine ICE that has billions of dollars behind them. So of course they thought about this, but I think they should leave him in Louisiana so that he can face the justice of a more conservative court than, because you know what? I'm also tired of being soft on crime, but I'm tired of that bullshit pandering to those foreigners and minorities because they're foreigners and minorities. If this is not acceptable behavior, I don't give a fuck the color of your skin. You can be white, black, purple, yellow, orange, don't care. If what you did is wrong and you should lose your green card and get deported, guess what, bro? If I do something wrong tomorrow and ICE shows up and says, hey, asshole, you're going back where the fuck you came from, that's on me, bro. I made the mistake. I did it. So if I'm able to stay here for as long as I've been here, like back and forth, without committing a crime, it's not that fucking complicated. Just don't be an asshole.
Yep, no doubt, no doubt. I mean, like you said, like we're both pretty big free speech advocates. If he was a citizen, we both be the first to say there's nothing he can do, because I didn't see anything that he's done or said that explicitly breaks the law. However, that's not what's going on. He is not a citizen. He has a green card, and with that comes certain expectations of behavior. And I'm glad to see that someone in the West is finally willing to stand up and defend us, right? These people, they defend every other culture in the world, and they never ever, they'll shit all over us, when the truth is, like every single culture, there is good parts and bad parts of every single one. Now we could get into debates about which is better, but like for now, let's just say there's good and bad of every single one. But these people, they would never ever do anything or say anything positive about our culture, and it's nice to see someone defend us.
I agree. I completely agree with you. It's about fucking time. I agree. So let's finish the video here.
Or Manhattan, Khalil, a pro-Palestinian activist and graduate student who played a major role during last spring's protests at Columbia University, is a permanent U.S. resident who is married to an American citizen.
But this is Fox
After
News
Khalil
too,
was
right?
arrested, Furman blocked his deportation, ordering that the 30-year-old is not removed while court proceedings continue. Khalil's lawyers say he hasn't been charged with a crime and was just expressing his political opinions. They want him returned to New York and released under supervision, arguing this is all a matter of free speech.
No. See, hold on. Before, that's obviously his lawyer. He looks like a lawyer. That is another thing. Fuck that shit. Leave that fucking guy in prison. Even if he's back in New Jersey or in New York, which I completely disagree with, leave that fucking guy behind bars. Screw that shit. That's another thing that bothers me. We're so lenient on, oh no, but it's okay. We'll trust that he's going to do the right thing. He clearly already didn't. Why would we trust him now? He fucked up. Keep his ass in jail until they figure it out.
Yeah, and that's right. And I mean, like they mentioned there that the judge blocked the deportation. I'm cool with that. I'm okay with him staying in a cell. Well, keep him in the country. Let him get his due process. No one's saying take that away. Just to put like these idiots like, oh, it's fascist. It's fascist. No, it's not. Fascist is not going to take. Fascist is not going to give him a trial in front of a judge, an actual fair one. You know, they're not going to give him his day in court. So, and just, yeah, keep him there. I'm okay with not deporting him. Keep him there. He can stay there until his court case is done. And then when it gets resolved, if they say get out, then get the fuck out. The fact that he's got a pregnant wife, that's unfortunate, but that's on him.
Not my problem.
Why are you doing these things if you have a pregnant wife? Your responsibility should be to your family.
And just like you, I'm happy that they're going to give him the day in court. They're going to actually have this in front of the public, because this is going to be very revealing, and it's going to set a precedence. I want to see him get deported, and look how people are going to chill the fuck down when it comes to the way foreigners protest in this country, in the U.S. Yeah. Because there needs to be a very clear understanding that free speech, again, we've said this before, but we'll say it again, free speech is everything to me. But that does not mean that there's no consequences. You're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want.
That's right.
But if there's consequences, if you are found, because I guarantee you, once again, if I organize the Christian protest and I'm the main guy. No, but hold on. Yeah, don't even think about the way I look right now. It's even worse now that I'm in the wife beater. But imagine that I'm the main voice of a Christian protest, and we end up breaking into a building that we occupy. Do you really think I'd get away with this shit?
Yeah, Nico, your mic's a little bit. It seems to be whenever you play a video.
What's up? It's still.
Yeah. Do you have to go out and come back in? Is that how it gets fixed?
I have no clue, man. Super expensive microphone and is giving me trouble. Is it still the same right now?
Crackling, yeah.
Fucking Christ! Oh, that
it only started a second ago when you played the video. For some reason, it seems to. What do you got?
You know what? I'll come out. I'll come back.
Okay. Yeah. After the vid. Yeah, and so I'll just sort of I'll just wait till we're probably done with that. We'll move on to the next one when Nico comes back. But yeah, I mean that's sort of how I see it, sort of how we see it. I think, you know, there's, as a green card holder, you're a guest in the country, and you are held to different standards than if you're a citizen. I think that. You know, at the end of the day, look, we have a multicultural society. We have diversity here, and that's a positive thing, and that's a good thing, I think most people think. But when you do have that, it's very important that you don't allow groups to be implanting seeds of social division, because, you know, when you have a multicultural society and you have different groups, all it takes is a few bad actors to come in and drop sticks of dynamite down in the little cracks in society, and next thing you know, it's a disaster. You can't allow people to get away with it just because it's a favored activist or a favored cause. You can't have favorite causes and not favorite causes. It's got to be the same. You know, Nico always talks about consistency. It's got to be consistent. As soon as you start playing favorites and picking winners and losers, then it all goes to shit, because the people who are the losers, then they get mad. Then they start going out. Then violence happens on one side, and then the whole thing goes to shit. And instead of that, the solution is to just nip it in the bud when these malcontents, these bad actors come in here, these agitators, and they start trying to, you know, if you hate it so much here, then get the fuck out. We like it here. We you know, this is where we have our families, our kids, our jobs, our friends. We don't want to see the eradication of Western civilization, and we are not going to extend the welcome mat to fucking pieces of shit like this guy who are trying desperately to do that. It's as simple as that. And the left has gone fucking insane on issues like this, and I'm saying that as a lefty. You know, it's hopefully it does. There's small signs that sanity might be returning, but maybe it's too far gone. Maybe the left is too far gone, and we just need to get the fuck rid of all of them. I don't know. Stuff like this makes it just, you know, I'll never really rant quite like you do, Nico, but you know, I'm feeling it.
Is the microphone okay now?
Oh no, it's still choppy. That's so weird.
Okay, I'll be back.
Yep, no worries. Okay, so Prairie, she says exactly, Rob. Yeah, I mean, it's the very people who are defending this guy are the ones that are, at the top of the cheerleaders for multiculturalism and diversity. And most people support multiculturalism, right? Most people in our country, we know lots of people from different cultures, and we know that they bring value. But included in that is a responsibility to not stir up tribalism and just let bullshit. Because once that starts, once that train leaves the station, there's no getting it back. And the solution is to just nip it in the bud when these people come in here. And the fact that this guy came here 2 to 3 years ago and immediately started engaging in this, I'm not saying the guy's a foreign agent who came here just to do this, but it's suspicious. It's undoubtedly suspicious. It absolutely makes you wonder what's going on here. But at the end of the day, it isn't free speech, right? He's if you were being charged with a crime, me and I believe Nico as well would be the first to be speaking up back against this. But that's not what's going on. It's literally rescinding an invitation to a guest in your home. If you invited a guest in your home and he came in and took a shit on your rug, or if he instigated fights between you and your wife, causing division in your home, you probably would have something to say about it. And this is the exact same thing. Prairie. Next thing you know, our cities look like the fighting over in their cities. And that's the other thing. If you like it so much, if you hate it so much here, then get the fuck out. Go back to where you came from. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, right? Like, I'm a big believer in immigration. I think immigration policy is absolutely fucking through the just complete dog shit right now. And a big part of the problem is that the left has made it so that we can't even discuss immigration, right? Right now, the policy across the entire West seems to be mass migration, unchecked migration, and whoever shows up, like people abusing asylum systems. Asylum was never meant for people fleeing poverty. That's not what it's for. It's people, and I think asylum, when legitimate asylum, is a good thing and is our responsibility. If you're fleeing war, for sure, you have a place here, in my opinion. If you're just poor in a poor country, no, that's not asylum. That's not what it's for. And I think that the big problem with the immigration system is that we're not even allowed to criticize it, right? Like, the left has made it so that if you have any opinion on immigration other than oh shit, no, you want to try that again?
I rebooted my whole laptop, so there's clearly a problem with my mic.
Wow. Let me see here. There's nothing that's cables, nothing loose or anything like that.
I actually, because I've been having this problem, it seems like over the past few weeks, I actually retook my audio amp. I have an external audio amp that I reconnect. It's even worse. Yeah, man, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Did you? Yeah. As a Prairie says, that's even worse. Do you want to? Is there anything take a few minutes and?
I read my actual laptop, so there's nothing much I can do about this if I'm having an issue with it right now. Just give me a second. I'll try something.
Okay. And I don't know. Is there any videos that you've got queued up that maybe, I don't know. It seems to be connected to videos in some way. I'm not quite sure. But just going to Prairie, yes. And if you try to say anything about immigration, you are quickly and harshly labeled as racist. And that's exactly the point. It isn't necessarily that I'm saying there is only one, that I don't have a firm position on exactly what immigration should be. What I feel very strongly about is we need to be able to talk about it. It's very clear that the immigrant. Go ahead.
Is it the same? Sorry, I was just trying to.
Oh, it's a lot better. There's a slight crackle.
There's definitely there. It's a shame. It's a $300 microphone, so there's definitely a problem with the microphones. There's not much I can do about it, unfortunately.
Well, I mean, that was a lot better than it was a second ago. I would say,
but it's so annoying. I know what it sounds like.
And now it's now you seem we can't hear you at all. Well, I mean, what do you want to do? Do you want to duck out so I can just sort of finish up with a few of these things here and then we'll call it a day? Or do you want to? So you just rebooted the whole laptop, eh? You've already done that?
Yep. Yeah, but it won't stop. Like my Windows has been fucking sending me updates upon updates upon updates. And I don't know if you know about Windows updates, but they always fuck your laptop. Every single time you have one queued in.
Joe says it's not the mic, it's a latency issue. Can you expand on that? Do you have any suggestions?
No, I know exactly what he's saying, but I don't think so.
Okay.
He's saying that basically my voice is too long. I get what he's saying. I don't think so, though. Hold on.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, I'll just jump on. Yeah, Prairie, to go with what you're saying, I completely agree. And it does seem like the immigration policies all over the West, they've all been lockstep, right? It seems like it's happening everywhere. And there was no elections ran on this. This was never like if there was left-leaning politicians who ran on open borders immigration, and they won and then implemented that, I would say, sure. I mean, elections have consequences, right? That's how democracy works. But that is not what's going on. That's not what's happened. What's happened is just complete open borders immigration, abuse of asylum system. And then the second you speak up about it, you're a racist. You're a bigot, even though much of the problems have nothing to do with race, right? Like it's just a matter of more bodies in your country. Here in Canada, we've got universal health care. More bodies is going to tax the healthcare system. Housing prices through the roof. Just cost of living through the roof. These are all negative consequences of unfettered immigration. And we were told quite confidently by the left that there are no negative consequences. And that's obviously bullshit. And we need to be able to talk about that. Now, there are certainly some, you can make the case that we need mass immigration. Clearly our birth rate is in the shitter, and people are not having kids at the rate that we need. And so you can say, sure, we need that amount to make up the difference. Fine. Make the case. Let run an election on it. Let's make the case. But you cannot ignore that there are also very serious negative consequences to current immigration policies. And we need to be able to talk about that without being called racist. And I'm speaking clearly to the left right now. It is the left doing this. The problem is the left has been culturally dominant over the last 20 years or so. So whatever sort of problems infecting the left will by inevitably come over and affect all of society because of the cultural dominance of the left. Now, that's starting to shift. It's funny because the left is starting to become not dominant, and the right is becoming ascendant. And we'll see what that means. Now, I don't know if that is a long-term trend. I suspect it is, but we'll see sort of how things change as that sort of the two sides do a switcheroo here over the next couple of years. And I think my prediction is that you're actually going to see a lot of the things that we associate with the left, such as, say, censorship and cracking down on free speech, and a lot of things that we see associated with the right, say celebrating free speech as a cornerstone, those might switch. Because I actually don't think that that's necessarily a left-right issue. What I think that is a culturally dominant or not issue. If you're the side that is culturally not dominant, you're being censored constantly by the dominant side, and so it's natural that you're going to have free speech as a core to your values. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens if the right sort of does the exact same thing the left does as it becomes more and more culturally dominant. If they start cracking down on free speech on the left, now that'll be something to see or to look out for. I think it's also entirely possible that the left pulls its head out of its ass. I don't and course corrects. I don't see it happening anytime soon. I think 2028 is probably the moment when the left is going to sort of learn. I think they have to get their ass kicked again. You know, they lost. Kamala lost pretty aggressively to Trump, and I think it appears from the way that I perceive the zeitgeist, if you want to call it that, is that the left has not learned its lesson. There's still a lot of people who seem to think that Kamala wasn't left enough. She didn't talk about Palestine enough. She didn't talk about transitioning illegal immigrants enough. And yeah, I know that the argument, well, she never talked about those things. She didn't need to talk about those things. Everybody knows what the left stands for on those issues. And that is why she was completely destroyed. There has been a vibe shift, and we talk about this on the show all the time. I don't think the left has caught up yet. So while we got some time here, waiting for Nico, I think that's a good segue for me to talk a little bit about something that I feel pretty strongly about. If you follow me on Twitter, you might have seen me make posts and stuff about it. I'm running on a pretty serious political theory right now, that there's been a major split, and I'd like to hear you guys' thoughts about it. There's been a major split in the left, the political left, over the last 2 years, a schism, if you will. This schism has created an entirely new political bloc that is not very well defined yet, and it doesn't seem like anyone really knows about it or discusses about it. I'm starting to talk out a lot about it on X. It's sort of my side project. I'll get to that in just 1 second, Joe. Just because Prairie here says, do tell I'm not on X. Okay, sure. That's all the encouragement I need. So I call this new block the alt left, for lack of a better term. I just needed something to differentiate it from the left. And it's not that crazy when you think about it, right? The right has several different groups, distinct and separate groups under the right umbrella, right? You've got the libertarian right, you've got the alt right, you've got the corporate right, you've got religious rights. These are all different groups who are clearly right leaning, but the left doesn't have that. The left is a monolith, and it has been for as long as I know. So in some ways, you could say it's due for a split. There's only so long you can keep such a big tent of people from diverging with different opinions. So my hot take on the overall theory is that the alt left is a group of people that, broadly speaking, we are mostly, I would say, the typical alt lefty is going to be 30 plus, is going to identify as a progressive or a liberal their entire lives. Their positions on many things will mean that they will never be a right winger or conservative. I'm talking about their positions on abortion, guns, healthcare, the social safety net, the role of government. That's all firmly still progressive left wing. But they have diverged on three main policy issues. And those are, one, radical gender ideology and the way that it has sort of infected all aspects of the political left. Identity politics and the way that it seems like the only way the left knows how to understand the world is through the lens of identity, of our immutable traits, race, sex, gender, religion, even. And for me and people who would consider themselves alt-left, that's wrong. In fact, we would argue that the constant centering of all these immutable traits causes the social division in society that only perpetuates the racism, the sexism, the homophobia that we're opposed to. And the third is, of course, is immigration. And you want to give that a go, Nico?
It's a total new microphone. Like I have a bunch of my. Yeah,
no, that works. And then I'll just wrap.
So this microphone is clear.
Oh yeah, super clear.
Fucking first microphone I bought 4 years ago. I always keep a backup just because
I
know shit happens.
It's good. And I'll just wrap this up, Prairie. But yeah, and the third is immigration, and that's what we talked about earlier. Is exactly what I'm talking about. It's not even necessarily that we're saying we have a hard position on immigration. It's more that we need to be able to talk about it. So if you want, if you are on X and you're more interested in what I have to say, you can join the side project that I've created. It's at _alt left, and I talk about that stuff there more. Obviously this show is a priority, so I don't really talk about that stuff here. Nico has his own side projects, and he doesn't, he'll mention it here and there, but the way that we kind of see it, like, this is our main show, and our side projects will sort of rise or fall with the success of this one. So what that one is about is not necessarily within the remit of this one, because that one's just about the left. That's about reforming the left, sort of from a liberal, us liberals and progressives who are fucking sick of this shit, who are sick of the lunatic fringe 5% dictating policies to the rest of us. That's what that's about. What me and Nico are doing here is about healing the social divide between the right and the left, showing that we've got a lot more common ground than say the media would have us believe. But yeah, so that's sort of the 411 on that. Nico's mic seems to be, it's honestly, the quality's maybe a titch less than the other one. You can tell the other one's
no, but it's just there's other options on it. That's what I was looking at. There's different options on it. Now it should be better than it was 2 seconds ago.
Oh yeah, no, it's sharp. It's good.
And it's because it's not in my mouth either, right? I'm normally super good at microphones, so it's a bit lower, but yeah, it's
yes.
We'll see what happens.
Joe, what you're saying, the problem is that the left used to represent the working class. Identity politics now distracts us from that, and we are rapidly devolving into an authoritarian oligarchy. Couldn't agree more. The left is becoming very authoritarian. And as a progressive, a liberal, that's, that I thought this was the people who were, the non-authoritarians, the one who the live and let lives, the do what you want. And it appears that has shifted dramatically. Me and you have discussed things on X, and we don't always agree on everything, but yes, I agree. Identity politics, it distracts us, but it also divides us. And I believe that it's intended to divide us. I believe that the left is very disingenuous, the establishment left, with the way that they do a lot of these issues. You can see it on abortion, right? They had all the time in the world since Roe v. Wade to codify abortion into law, but they didn't want to do that because they wanted to dangle the threat of it over everyone's head. They thought that guaranteed them votes. And that is just one example. That's not really what we're talking about, but it just shows the type of thing that the left does. They do that shit all the time. And it looks like here in 2025, enough people are starting to say enough. We're done with it. And I think you're going to see a dramatic, Nico doesn't agree, but at least
absolutely not. You live in such a cocooned world of Eastern Canada. I can tell you, as a guy that's traveled all over North America, US is changing, but the South, the North ain't. Canada's the same. It's even gonna double down on this bullshit over the next few months. I guarantee you that.
Oh, I agree with that. We've talked about that before. This sort of like desperate last gasp. But
it's no.
Being optimistic, but
I don't think that's what's going to happen in the U.S. I agree with you in the U.S. Canada, though, completely different story. Canada, we will go down a path. That's what we were. Rachel Parker and I was talking about yesterday, and I asked her that question: do you think Canada is going to get better? And even in her opinion, which I was surprised that she admitted to that, but she's saying like it's not going to get better. It's going to get way worse. I've had 2 different podcasts over the past 2 days, and both the guests said the same thing. There's only so much people that we can help. Like, there's people that just don't want to hear it. They just don't care. They're going to continue going down that path as long as you allow them to have their Netflix and be able to order from Uber Eats. They don't even care that they're stuck at a home, basically. Like, it's absolutely insane. Canada and the US are very different when it comes to that. And the next subject we wanted to talk about, Mark Carney, is the perfect example. You got a guy, we are literally going from a former part-time drama teacher to a self-proclaimed globalist banker that has ties to the WEF, and he's not hiding it. He's absolutely proud to be a globalist.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is how
Oh, yeah.
this is how dumb we've become in Canada. We have a president in the US that's trying to cut ties to other countries and take care of the US. And then in Canada, we just fucking, our new prime minister that's going to be put in place tomorrow is okay with admitting that he's a globalist. So technically he doesn't care about Canada. If you're a globalist, you care about the planet. You don't care about the country in which you are going to become the prime minister. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. That's why I'm saying it's not, I wish you were right, and I wish it was one of those situations where we're seeing the end of it. It's the last, it's the last stand of the woke. Yeah. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the case, because we've talked about this so many times over the past few weeks because of the tariffs. You look at the you look at the conservative, you look at the liberal, you look at the NDP, they all have the same message. So the three potential, NDP would never win, but the two potential parties that could lead Canada in the next year both have the same message when it comes to dealing with Trump, which we don't have a choice to deal with Trump. Love him or hate him, it is something that we need to do no matter what. So we're just going to go down a path of crap that is even worse than what it is now. But we're at a point where, the US was at a breaking point, where if they can't continue going down the path of the woke left, as you've been talking about for probably 20 minutes now, obviously you talk about this all the time. If they would have continued down that path, they would have ended up like Canada. But now, with a guy like Trump and obviously JD Vance in the future, they kind of put a stop to it. They kind of, let's stop this shit. Let's reevaluate what we're doing. Try to shift it back to the center, or at least to the right of where it is right now. But in Canada, that conversation is not even had. Even if you elected a conservative party, you will not stop the woke from continuing doing what they're doing, because somebody said on one of the posts that I made yesterday that if you look at American politics, Pierre Poilievre is left of Hillary Clinton, and I agree. I that politically,
I don't know if I
bro, Poilievre is extremely left. Like, we don't have a real conservative, right? But the point I'm trying to make here is that there's whoever you choose is somebody that believes in going at war with the US, and they're not conservative. They're not trying to swing that to the middle. They're trying to stay pretty much where we are now, and hopefully it's going to get better by itself. But we can only, and that's a point that Rachel Parker said yesterday, and I agree with her on that one, is a conservative party will only slow down the pace at which we're heading into our own destruction. It's not going to stop it, which I'm hoping that you look at a Donald Trump in the US and the JD Vance down the future, they've put a stop to it. They stopped it before it was too late. And this is what I'm wondering. I'm really wondering if in Canada we've crossed the path, we've crossed that bridge already, and we kind of lit it on fire and said, what? This is where we are.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I do think that point exists. Maybe I'm being naive. I don't think we're there yet. I'm not ready to give up hope yet. I think
hold on, be careful. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'm not saying I'm losing hope, or I'm never going to stop doing what I'm doing to try wake people up. But I am, over the past 4 years, I've realized that there's a vast majority of people that don't want to hear it because it puts their perspective, but that it challenges their way of life.
Yeah.
And see what's going on in Alberta. I've been dealing with a lot of people from Alberta recently, and their mentality is not the same at all.
No,
and Rachel yesterday was explaining she grew up in Ontario and she'd moved to Alberta about 3 years ago. And she's saying that the mentality of the people in Ontario, people don't care. They vote every 4 years and that's it. But in Alberta, the average person actually gets involved in politics. They rally, they talk about it on a day-to-day basis. It's probably that there's not as much shit to do, so they need to occupy their time. Like, there's not as many distractions. But at the same time, they're more involved in politics. They understand their politics. But you look at the average Albertan, or the message that they're sending right now is very different from the rest of Canada. Extremely different. Like, she was explaining that there's 4 types of ways Alberta could separate or become more of a sovereign nation. 4. Yep. So their IQ of politics is a lot higher, and I think they care more. So maybe this is what's going to happen to the rest of Canada, but we all know that the reason Alberta is in that situation is because the rest of Canada has been fucking them for 10 years now.
Yeah.
They've been literally taxing them, taking that money and sending it to East, Quebec, and Ontario as equalization payment, while preventing them from building pipelines that could hit the Pacific Ocean to sell to China, or on the Atlantic Ocean to go sell to Europe. The only thing they have is selling to the US. That's all they have, because that's all we're allowing them to do. So I don't know, man. I don't know if it's possible to save Canada. I don't know.
Like I said, I think I don't know. The thing that I think is there could be a wild card in the US, like you said, Donald Trump or JD Vance. And if they bring things back to sanity, there's a chance people in Canada say, oh, it doesn't have to be this way. And we'll always be to the left of America. Like there's no doubt about that. But if they go to the right, or even just towards the center, which would be rightward from where they are, just the sheer weight of their sort of the culture and that country, there's a chance it pulls us along with them. But we'll see.
You know, we've talked about this, you, I, and Jason, about how Trump is very good at shifting the status quo.
And that's what we need.
Shifting up the status quo, and that's what he did. That's what he's doing in Gaza. That's what he's doing in Ukraine. And that's what I was talking about with Rachel yesterday. I'm like, it's probably exactly what he's doing with Canada. He does not like the way we're headed, and he's trying to shake to break the status quo. The only problem that I find is that, unlike Ukraine, and because at the end of the day, we're dependent on the US very similarly to how Ukraine is dependent on the US to provide them with more money. But we don't have that enemy that is Russia, right? We don't have that finger that we can point and say we're at war with Russia, just like Gaza's at war with Israel. You don't really have a boogeyman. You're like, that's the problem. So the US, it's hard for the US to just show up as a third party and say, hey, let me help you guys move this along. Instead of us looking at our politicians as the enemy and say, those are the people that have been fucking with us for more than a decade now, like for at least 1 or 2 decades, would rather blame Trump for him being in power for 7 weeks. Like, it seems that we forget completely what the liberals have done to our economy over the past 9 to 10 years and say, we were great until Trump showed up 7 weeks ago. Hey, fuck. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is my part, is that we're so, I don't know if it's not, if it's because we're naive. I don't know if it's because we're stupid. I don't know what it is. I haven't found a proper word without wanting to insult people, but I don't know why we still think that it was okay 7 weeks ago or 8 weeks ago. Because remove all the tariffs. Even if tomorrow you removed all the tariffs, our dollar over the past 10 years has lost more than 33% against our own dollar, like just in inflation. And that's an average. There are things that are a lot higher than that, but we forgot that because our politicians right now are saying that the boogeyman is Trump. This is why I'm a bit pessimistic when it comes to Canada, because I don't know what it's going to take after what we've seen through COVID, through like the lockdowns and the government literally becoming tyrannical. And YouTube, don't believe what I'm saying. I'm full of shit. I've been dropped on the head too many times, and I've been punched in the face too many times. But we've seen our government become tyrannical. And now it's like we forgot. Like, we completely forgot what happened. It was 2 years ago. It's like, oh, that's done. And, you know, I wanted to bring up a video. I don't know if you had the chance to watch the other video I sent you earlier.
Which one? I think
the one from the guys from Blender News, which I think right now, let's just say that, as the title says, Mark Carney is going to replace Justin Trudeau tomorrow. It's been announced that Carney is replacing Trudeau It was fast as hell because he was he was chosen on Sunday. Friday he's already in place. And you know what? Do you want to play a video? Because I have a video. They're talking about it. It's actually it's interesting to say what he's going to do because he's not using the same thing as Trudeau. It seems like he's
I like to see that actually because I like to start sort of commenting a little more specifically on Carney and the things that he's saying and doing because I mean he's going to be prime
we're
minister,
going to
right?
have to. We're going to have to.
Yep.
You want to pick this one?
So Prairie says Quebec's taking the largest chunk of that money while refusing to let a pipeline through. Yeah, exactly what Nico was talking about. As Albertans, that's got to infuriate you, right? A large chunk of your money. So if we have American viewers who aren't sure how it works, we have this thing called equalization, where we have haves and have-nots, and the rich provinces pay a chunk of money, and that gets divided up into the poor provinces, which means that everyone's equal. Not exactly equal, but it ends up being like 2 or 3 provinces give away billions, tens of billions every year to the poor provinces. And Quebec is actually, even though it's not a poor province, it is actually one of the largest receivers of equalization, just because of some quirks about Canadian, if I don't know how familiar with this, but we've been giving a lot of benefits and like special privileges to Quebec to try to keep them in the country because they've been voicing opposition to or wanting to leave for a long time. That's another story. But yeah, if you're Alberta, you're spending billions every year that's going into Quebec's pocket. And then when the time came to say, guys, we'd like to build a pipeline to go east, this was a couple of years back, so that we can sell our product to the rest, to Europe, our energy, Quebec said, no, sorry, we don't want it to go through our province. And that was it. But we love your equalization payments. We love those dollars. Keep that coming. But yeah, for the thing that's going to help you, no, you can get fucked. And that's just one example. But, we talked about
it is a very good example.
Yeah, we talked about how Alberta's beefs with the rest of Canada are pretty valid. And I think if you're a staunch nationalist or a staunch patriot and you want Canada to stay together and thrive, you should be taking it very seriously, their concerns, because like Jason seems to think that like they've already passed the line of no return. It's essentially a given. Now, maybe they haven't, maybe you can still talk them off the ledge, but like those are very legitimate concerns that they have. And if we just pretend like they're just being a bunch of whiny bitches and keep sending those billions, one day we're going to wake up and there's going to be a 51st state. But it ain't going to be Canada. It's going to be Alberta.
And, I've said this on the show so many times that Alberta is, I say Canada is has the third largest reserve of oil and gas in the world.
That's Alberta.
It's actually exactly. Let me rephrase. I say that because Alberta right now is in Canada, but it's Alberta that has the third largest
the whole
reserve.
51st state thing. They just want Alberta. They'll take the rest of us if they have to.
No, they won't. I saw a great post about this yesterday, and it's so true. Absolutely so true. You know what they were saying?
What?
And those are Canadians and Americans that were talking about this, which I never considered it, but it was brilliant. Why the fuck would you ever want a state that is why the fuck would you ever want a country that is woker than California to join the US? Trump would shoot the Republican Party in the foot by exporting that many Democrat voters. So is that really something you want to do?
Well,
I don't know.
And that's two Democrat senators too, right? Because we're going to get two senators, and those are going to be Democrat. So yeah,
unless they're from Alberta.
Yeah, that's true too.
So it's the thing. I for the Albertans that are listening to this, I get you. Yeah. I understand why you're pissed off. If I was in your shoes, I'd probably be even worse than you. So I get it. I understand. I feel bad for you guys. We've really been fucking you for years. So, man, I understand your frustrations. And I don't think it's going to get any better with a guy like Mark Carney in power. Because he's already, I don't know if you saw those videos, but he's already apologizing that he's going to have to send more money there from the tariffs. I should have kept those videos, but he was explaining how he understands that there's even harder times ahead for Alberta.
I remember. Yeah, you showed me that. I saw it. He was like, he recognized that they've been taking advantage of Alberta, and then said, and we're gonna keep doing it. Not
good. Sorry,
good.
bro. We know we're fucking up, but you're gonna have to get it up the ass a bit longer because we still need you.
And we just ran out of lube, so it's
Oh, there's no lube there, bro. He's going raw. He's raw dogging it, bro. Sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, Jode.
Let me play the video from Mark Carney.
All right. Yeah, let's see that.
Starting with breaking news, details about when the Justin Trudeau era will end and the one led by Mark Carney will begin. A ceremony at Rideau Hall is set for this Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. The Governor General will swear in the current Prime Minister designate and his cabinet. And Mark Carney will be Canada's next Prime Minister. Let's go to David Cochrane, the host of Power and Politics. David, what have you learned?
Well, Adrian, what we know so far is that Mark Carney is planning for a much smaller and much leaner cabinet. There are 37 people in Justin Trudeau's cabinet, including the Prime Minister. What I'm told is Mark Carney is planning for somewhere between 15 and 20 ministers. The idea is a lean cabinet, acutely focused on the trade war with the United States and the economic challenges that present. So on that point, the key players on the Canada-US file, Dominic LeBlanc, Mélanie Joly, François-Philippe Champagne, they won't.
Mélanie Joly is the current foreign affairs minister that is dealing with Trump. That said in an interview last week that, we've tried to contact. Oh, no, sorry. If he's ready to talk, he can contact us. I'm like,
that's not how, guys, you should be banging the door, begging him to talk to you. That's enough with this.
Remember last week when I said that if somebody has to give him a blowjob, they should just fucking do it. If that's what it takes to open the communication.
Yes.
It was her. That was her on the video. So
be dropped from cabinet. They likely
No, I was just saying they have no clue. It's like they, it's like that thing that Jason said that we talked about, the quote unquote conspiracy theory, but not really. Where he said that they weren't going to call an election. And he said, watch Jagmeet Singh. He's going to, because at the time he was in favor of an election. And he said in a few weeks, he's going to say, no, we don't need an election. We need to start helping out workers with programs. And those programs are going to be some sort of CERB or some version of a UBI where they're just giving money. And now Singh has done exactly that. He stopped supporting the election, or he stopped saying we need an election and said he'll support the government. And Carney's already talking about the programs that they need to institute. And so, that's something to keep in mind. And if that's the case, what that means is they actually don't want to get rid of the tariffs because they're using the tariffs as a way to justify giving out a shit ton of money. And they're going to use that. Once they, Jason's theory was that once we're addicted to that money, the monthly whatever amount might be $2,000 a month. For any Canadians who remember a couple of years back, you wanted CERB when COVID hit, you just go on the CRA site, put in your social insurance number, and that's it. 2,000.
Was it that easy?
It was that easy. I never got it, but a buddy of mine did. He said he was shocked. He was shocked. You literally put in your SIN number. You didn't have to make any declarations, nothing. $2,000 2 days later. And
I never took it.
I never took it either, but it was literally that easy. There was you didn't need to be approved. You just had your SIN number and that was it. And it was just as easy money as you can imagine. And then
this is going to be no different, obviously.
No different, right? Do that for 6 months, 3 months, 4 months. People are addicted to it. And then, of course, the Conservatives are going to have to campaign on stopping it, because if not, they're not going to be conservative, right? That there'll be no point to them. And so essentially, he's just saying they're essentially going to buy the election that way. And you got to hand it to him. It's sort of an evil genius plan, a very legal way to literally buy an election.
Jason called it like he is I don't want to fondle with his balls, but man, that was brilliant.
It was a great call.
Oh, because he did it prior to everything happening, and he's just. I think he's privy to insider information because he is running. He is extremely involved in politics. So hey, Jason, if you're watching this, you're not that smart because you know people.
But that's what he said. He was like, I can't say exactly what it is, but it's like, but I'm from, I have certain contacts on the inside kind of thing. And he said Jagmeet's gonna change his opinion. And he did.
10 days later, he was saying it in the news.
And Carney is going to start talking about, he didn't know exactly what it would be called or whatever, but now Carney's talking about, they frame it, and we've got to help workers. We got to put a package together to help workers. You know what would help workers? Plow $50 billion in infrastructure. If you're going to do deficit spending, which you're going to have to for this kind of a UBI program, if you're going to do that, why not do it to actually benefit the country? Build infrastructure projects. Find some way to force that pipeline through Quebec. I don't know enough about the legal situation, but if there's a way, ram it through. That's going to put a lot of these Canadians back to work. What they don't need is just free money. That doesn't help anybody.
No, absolutely not. See, this is an argument that I get into all the time. Joe Stranomus is saying that all of this would be cured by paying people a living wage for their work. What is a living wage? What work are we talking about? Because I'm sorry, but when I used to... No, but when I made donuts at Tim Hortons on the weekend to pay for my college, should I have been able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment on that salary? Like, this is the thing. Every time I hear that living wage, what does that mean? Compared to what? Does that mean that I should be able to work at McDonald's and have a 2-bedroom apartment in Toronto or in New York City? Come on, man.
And often the people that make that argument are also the ones, and I'm not sure what your take on immigration is, Joe, but many of the people who make that argument are the ones who are absolutely opposed to any discussion about limiting immigration, even though this mass immigration of unskilled workers is one of, if not is at least one of the top reasons for why wages are so depressed. So you can't have it both ways. Like, there are reasons why there's a reason why the 1% loves this sort of unchecked immigration of low-skilled, unskilled workers. I don't know why the left has jumped on board, because all that does is crash wages for everyone else. And so you kind of can't have it both ways. You can't complain about the living wage, but support the policies that contribute to the living wage and call someone a racist. Because, and I'm not saying you do that, Joe. I'm just saying a lot of the people who make that argument will also make the other one.
It's one of those things. Give people opportunity to be successful. The opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all I'm asking.
Equality of opportunity, not equality
of outcome.
Yeah.
Nope. So it's always that part, right? If you're going to work at McDonald's, but you have all the opportunities in the world to do something else, I don't believe you should be able to get more money. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. That's a choice. You could do more. If I was able to do it, bro, I don't come from money. If I was able to do it, so are you. So this is the thing. I don't have a lot of pity for people that 150 years ago, they wouldn't have survived. Those people would be dead because nobody would have been there to take care of them. And this, again, is a problem a lot with Canada. We tend to take care of our lazy. We encourage them to just, you know what, it's okay. Here's an amount of money, sit on your ass, do nothing. And CERB was the perfect example of this. And this UBI that's going to show up next is the perfect example. And this is why it's going to be so effective, because a lot of people will take it. And what's going to happen? We're just going to fucking destroy our country for however long to repay that debt. So, but it's a mindset, right? It's absolutely a mindset. But
100%.
I don't know that there's a solution, considering that there's a lot of people that are used to getting handouts. And just like Jason was saying, if you addict people to getting, like, if you started giving me $2-3 grand a month right now, it'd be very hard for me to say in 4 months from now, I want to stop taking that. Like, this is a great amount of money for the average person. You're talking, let's say that it was $2 grand, like Jason said, that's 24 grand a year. So that allows for a lot more spending, probably more than what it's going to cost from the tariffs. But the point is, it's going to be very hard for people to say, I don't want it anymore. And unlike CERB, that supposedly had to be repaid, they're not talking about this right now.
No, a lot of people did not repay it.
But of course not. But my point, I remember when they started speaking about CERB, they said it would be an assistant that you needed to repay at one point. I did some research last week because my wife was bringing that up. I don't know why we're talking about this, but I looked But this, the UBI that they're talking about, the Uniparty in Canada, is not stating anything about paying it back because they have a common monster and enemy in Trump and his tariffs. So do you, shall we finish this video?
Yep.
And
yeah,
because
and also
I want to show the other one that's after, because this one, man, is gonna if that does not scare you, I don't know. I don't know what else will, because that video is really messed up. Like, and the guys that produced it, I trust them. Like, they're solid. They're very well researched. Like, they're very, very good at what they do. So let's just finish this video, then I'll show you the other one to get the pulse, because we only have all my microphone messing up probably cost us about 20 minutes. So
yeah, and also I should just quickly I do have to leave right at 3 today. I've got an appointment, so
yeah,
we'll won't change roles, or if they do, it would be a slight tweak, but still focus on the Trump administration. But a lot of ministers changing jobs or losing them entirely. And I'm told that over the last 48 hours or so, the Carney team has been working through a list telling people they're either staying, leaving, going, or getting a promotion. And this is going to be a challenge for Carney, because until now, he's given Liberals nothing but hope. But now ministers are going to get demoted, political staff are going to lose their jobs, and this is all going to create some disappointment at a time when the Liberals need people for the upcoming election.
All right, they do indeed. So, David, that transition timeline, do we have a sense of the election timeline?
Yeah, it should happen very quickly, because Parliament's set to return on March 24th, and as of this moment, I am told there is no plan to go back to the House of Commons unless there is a seismic global event that requires legislative action. Carney wants to quickly get his own mandate. He wants to sustain the momentum in the polls from these past weeks, and he doesn't want to give the opposition the platform in question period every day when he doesn't have a majority and he doesn't even have a seat. So, Adrian, that likely means another visit to Rideau Hall next week to ask the Governor General to dissolve Parliament, and election timeline rules being what they are. We're looking at a federal election in late April or early May, likely April 28th or May 5th.
We'll see.
And this, I don't believe in one fucking second, because Carney has said over the past few weeks that he wants to put an emergency, he wants to use basically the emergency act that Trudeau used under the COVID lockdowns in order to fight for the tariffs, which would give him the opportunity to implement his UBI plan that he has.
Well, yeah, because in this guy, I think he's just using sort of conventional wisdom. I don't think he's an insider. He's just assuming that Carney's just gonna
stop. He's a very left-leaning Canadian.
No, but what I'm saying is
he's not allowed to say anything against the Liberal. Bro.
What I'm saying is, when he says that they're going to have an election, I don't think he's correct. I think he I think he's just assuming that Carney's going to act as a normal politician might and does not have an agenda. But what I'm saying is, I believe Carney does have an agenda, and he's just not. Because I think if he was in on it, he'd probably be starting to push Carney shouldn't be having an election right now. It's tariffs, or it's a tough time in the country, so he should be focusing on the workers or something like that. But what's going to be funny is when you see that shift, because the media will start speaking like that once they get aware of what I think and what you think is Carney's overall plan.
Not only him, the NDP and the Conservative too. This is why it's very hard for me to see either of the parties being really for Canadians. Like, they're very good at slogans. They're very good at making you feel that they're gonna be there to help. But at the end of the day, their message is so similar. They use the same words, dollar for dollar, and let's help the workers, instead of getting their fucking asses down there and doing anything possible to deal with Trump. So they don't have the best interest of Canadians at heart. Let's be honest here. So we'll see. But this, man, like I said this morning in one of my posts, this is going to get worse before it gets better. Like, this is not good news. Having a Mark Carney that's going to be and you know what the worst part is that people don't remember that Trudeau closed the government since he's been doing it since the Christmas holidays. So it's like I think it was the 18th of December. We haven't had people sit in Parliament. Our politicians have not been representing us since the 18th of December, if I remember correctly. It was before the December break. So all this terrorists, all this crap has been going around since December. And you know what bothers me if I look at Pierre Poilievre even more? He's not talking about this. Like, if you scroll through just go to his feed, go check the video that he's putting out. He's not calling out the Liberals to reopen Parliament. Nobody's talking about this right now. Like, it's like it doesn't matter that Canada Parliament has been closed for 3 months. Like, how is this not tyrannical? The people that are supposed to represent us, even if, let's say, there was some good people out there that really wanted to help us, they can't even be at the table speaking right now. And all of our politicians are not speaking about that. This is what blows my mind. Like, they're all saying the same thing. They're all doing the same thing. They're all proning the same thing. Nobody talks about the fact that fucking Carney's unelected and he was chosen by a bunch of politicians. Like, this doesn't seem to be a big deal to people. I'm not happy that my next prime minister wasn't even, at least Dum Trudeau was actually elected by Papineau. Like, there's people dumb enough in Quebec that wanted to vote for him. At least he was elected. That dude's not even elected. Nobody chose him. But somehow he became the #1 front runner for the Liberal Party. And here we are. We have a prime minister that's not even elected by anybody, that's got chosen by a bunch of fucking politicians on top, liberal politicians on top of that. It's insane. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. I didn't realize that this was legal, because it hasn't happened in so long that it's before I was really involved in politics. I did not realize until now that this was a possibility. And this is why the US has a VP, right? If something happens to Trump, JD Vance is going to be the next one, because people still voted for him. At least he was on the ticket. That dude's not even fucking chosen. So do you have anything to say? Because I know you got to go. So I'll play the last video just to show people where we're headed. Like, if it couldn't get worse, this video is gonna really bother people out there. It's just loading.
The Court of Appeals has greenlit a $290 million class action lawsuit against the Freedom Convoy's organizers, truckers, and donors, a decision that could reshape the boundaries of protest and freedom in Canada. What started as a $4.8 million claim in February of 2022 by Ottawa resident and federal employee Zexi Lee has turned into a $290 million class action lawsuit, including residents and businesses who say they're reeling from the 2022 truckers' protest against COVID-19 mandates. The suit alleges public nuisance causing pain, suffering, and psychological distress, alongside economic losses stemming from the weeks-long demonstration. The plaintiff's case hinges on a simple premise: their right to peace was trampled by a protest that spiraled beyond its anti-mandate roots into a citywide siege. The suit now encompasses not just the convoy organizers, but also businesses, employees, and most controversially, anyone who donated to the cause. Now, the plaintiff claims donors knew or ought to have known their cash would fuel chaos, which is insane, because this is unprecedented. The people donating to the convoy were supporting Canadians against a tyrannical government, and honestly, anyone who is behind or involved in this lawsuit should be ashamed of themselves. If the appeals court lets this stand, it opens a terrifying door for every Canadian, regardless of which side of the fence you're on. If you fund a cause, any cause that does not comport with a government narrative, you could end up bankrupted by a lawsuit. Targeting people who sent a few bucks to truckers fighting mandates isn't justice. It's a government power grab dressed up as victimhood, and every Canadian should be able to see this. Then there's the other elephant in the room. On January 23, 2024, Federal Court Justice Richard Mosley ruled that the use of the Emergencies Act by the Trudeau government was unreasonable and illegal. It froze over 200 bank accounts and $450 million in assets, some from people who never even rolled into Ottawa. Justice Mosley said it flat out: there was no national emergency that justified these actions. Mosley found that the government lacked evidence of a national emergency warranting such measures, violating charter rights to expression and security against unreasonable seizure. So if there was no national emergency that justified these actions, I'm struggling to see how the Ontario Court of Appeals can justify these charges. Furthermore, and perhaps a question no one's asking loudly enough, if Trudeau's emergency measures were illegal, why isn't the government a defendant in this $290 million lawsuit? Protesters not only followed Ottawa police directives when parking their trucks, but it was also the feds who turned a demonstration into a standoff. And if we take a step back even further, it was the federal government's insane vaccine mandates and border closure policies that ignited the convoy in the first place. But instead of the government facing consequences for cracking down on a protest with unlawful emergency powers, the people who organized and supported the legal protest will be dragged through the courts. So again, this isn't about balancing rights. It's about punishing defiance. The Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms calls this suit exactly what it is: a strategic lawsuit against public participation, also known as a slap suit, which is a tool to silence dissent through financial intimidation, and the inclusion of donors exponentially amplifies this fear. Canada is clearly at a breaking point, and the Freedom Convoy definitely split the nation. Rural versus urban in many cases, compliance versus resistance for sure, and state versus citizen. To that, there's no question. Now the Ontario Court of Appeals is allowing this $290 million lawsuit to move forward. Pair this with the convoy's multi-million-dollar countersuit, and Justice Mosley's ruling that the use of the Emergencies Act was unlawful, and you've got a country that's wrestling with its soul. What's at stake isn't just a protest or a payout. It's whether Canadians still have the right to stand up to their government without the fear of financial ruin.
The guy took a breath. That's what impresses me the most. Like the guy is just like, boop, 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 boop. But clearly he's reading off his screen. Yeah. Goddamn, I don't even know how he breathes. But how messed up is that?
I mean, that's like
$290 million suit against citizens.
I mean,
citizens.
Yeah, that's crazy, especially for donating. Like that's kind of a good example of what we were talking about earlier with Khalil. We were saying it isn't the issue that he was protesting. It was, the eradication of whatever. Like the point is there are everyone has a right to speech and to protest, and that protest, whether you agreed with it or not. And at the time, I did not. I did not agree with what they were going on about. Certainly, with retros in hindsight, I definitely am much more aligned with a lot of the arguments that they were making. But even then, I didn't think it was illegal. Like I thought that it was a completely legitimate issue to protest. Whether the government has the right to mandate things like that, it's absolutely within the remit of any citizen's right to advocate against. So yeah, to sort of essentially maybe not criminalize, but like severely punish something like that. I don't agree with that. I don't like that at all.
Because
Prairie says here, 100% punishment for not complying. Yeah.
You're basically giving the power to the government to prevent people from protesting in the future without having to arrest them. You're hitting them in the bank account. So you're
designed to silence, right? Chilling effect.
Basically, but we're not arresting you. It's not illegal for you to protest.
We're going to take all your money.
Like it, we're going to make sure you go bankrupt. Like how many of those people are going to have to go bankrupt if this goes through? And when you think about it, basically what it's saying is that anybody that protests can be in trouble. It doesn't matter what you do, because if you're found, so imagine in New York, right next to University of Columbia, if the people would all gather together, because that's basically what's happening. People in Ottawa have gone together to do a mass class action suit in order to sue the organizers and the donors because they disrupted their lives. That means that anytime there's a protest, the people in the area that lives around that protest could start complaining, saying, because of you, this happened. So do you see that type of
I suspect if the protest was pro-Palestine, they'd never be allowed to, that lawsuit would never go forward.
But that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm trying to make is that for the people out there, it's easy for you to be for Palestine because there's no consequences, and to be against the truckers because you don't stand for the same thing that they did. But imagine that there's a government that does not like what you stand for. You're going to become the protesters from the Freedom Trucker because you let it happen when it was on your side. This is the problem. This is why I'm always talking to the right, saying, guys, we don't get to censor people. We don't get to go after people for what they did because it hurt our feelings. Get over it. Freedom of speech is more important than anything else. And this is what I want to the lefties out there, to the people that are more liberal. It's not because right now it's on your side that it will always be.
It always comes.
You want to make sure that you stand up for free speech first and foremost. Is it a nuisance? Bro, if you live in the city, everything's a fucking nuisance. I lived in the city most of my life. Shit's gonna happen. Does that mean I get to sue people because they're drunk at 3:00 in the morning getting out of the bars? No, it doesn't. So it will set a very dangerous precedent. Very dangerous precedent.
Oh, for sure. Like I said, you can't. It's got to be on principle. It doesn't matter what the actual protest is about. If you have to support the right to protest the correct way, right? If someone wants to say, oh, well, what about Khalil? Well, clearly he didn't protest the correct way. There is a difference, right? You can't. The truckers, regardless of if you agree with them or not, they weren't calling for the eradication of the people who they disagreed with, right? That's the difference. And yeah, if it's a very slippery slope to get to a place where you defend government crackdown on protests as long as you don't agree with the protest, because there will come a time when it's going to be you that wants to protest something and the government will not agree, and it'll be you getting this. So yeah, I mean, even as, like I said, even if you don't support what they were doing, you have to defend their right to do it.
Plus, you live in the city. Again, this is the part. It sucks for you. You want to live right next to the parliament. There's protests there all the time. Canada Day, you can't go. Oh, but you know what I'm saying? It's this is the bullshit. It's like, I want to live right downtown. I'm going to buy property right next to an airport so that that I'm going to pay less. And in a year from now, I'm going to go complain and start suing the airport.
That's a great point.
They're making too much noise. Like, fuck off. You know what? Fuck off.
Yeah. If you're going to live downtown Ottawa, that's sort of part of the...
I want to live in New York, but I don't want the noise. I want the sidewalk to roll at 8 o'clock at night so that I can go to bed. I don't want to be bothered. Like,
it doesn't work like that. It don't work like that.
Bro, I know you need to go.
Yeah, I got to get going.
We'll get it right there. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing it, for being with us. Sorry for my fucking microphone problem.
Yeah, we'll sort that out. It happens. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things one of the downsides of going live, but I think the upsides of going live far outweighs the downside. Yep.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace. I gotta take off, Nico. I'll text you later.